Hello and welcome. I'm Havard Oskard from the Hortis team at Species 360. And I'm very pleased to introduce Rob Stewart from the Shoalhaven Heads Native Botanic Garden in Australia, New South Wales, who will share their conservation story. And this recording is from a webinar we titled Collaborative Collection Tracking, Simpler, Smarter Together. So thank you very much, Rob.
Our botanic garden started about 17 years ago. We're all volunteers. And about 2.5, 3 years ago, we're part of Bagants. And through Bagants, we came across the Hortis program. Prior to the Hortis, it was a never-ending paper trail. Like I said, we didn't know how many plants were in the garden. I knew where they were. I knew what they were, but we didn't have any complete records. I spent about a year putting all the plants into the program. I'm not a big computer whiz, so it took me a bit to get my head around it. But once I got my head around it, I got right into it. But realistically, at the end of the day, when I finished, we had 540 different species in the garden, and it's not a big garden. So we had 540 species and over 80 that are critically endangered, threatened, or vulnerable. So it was a bit of a surprise to all our volunteers what we actually had in the garden. We're always big on education and conservation. We have a preschool next door to the Botanic Gardens, which I've been working with the preschool kids for 12 or 13 years now. And the gardens are open 24/7. And we don't get any vandalism. There's no gates. But coming back to the Hortis program, it's been a big game changer for us in many ways. We're big on our interpretive signage. All our plants have got the interpretive signage. We've spent a lot of money on the interpretive signage to make sure it was educational. People can come to the garden and see what that plant is and take a picture of it or whatever. But that was, along with that once we started the Hortis program, it made sense with all this interpretive signage, made absolute sense what we'd been doing in the past prior to the Hortis program. So now we've released the Hortis program to the public now with the QR code. So people come in now, scan the QR code, walk around the garden. Even families come there with kids, and tracking where the plants are. But the collaborative part we've been doing, I've got one lady who's a ex-librarian, and Chris Lawrence, and she's helped me with the Hortis program. But the other way she's been helping too is I'll do a list of new plants that need new tags and their tag number. I'll give her the list. She goes home, gets on the Hortis program, gets all the right information to put on our labels and their tag number. We also have our nursery staff, which we've now educated them on how to use the Hortis program, so I can give them a list of plants that need propagating, and they get on the map and click on the plant that we want, and they go out into the garden. They know exactly where the plant is, and off they go. So there's all different ways we've been using it. I don't know if it's the right way or the wrong way. It works for us. It's been a real game changer, this Hortis program. We're only a small botanic garden. We're self-funded, so we originally got a grant for 4 years through the Horizon Bank down here to get the Hortis program. But when I have plants die, I don't take them off the Hortis program. I just have them as de-accessioned or whatever it is. I leave them there because when we've spent this money on labels, if we can replace the plant, we will. So And the other, I was telling before that we've got a Western Australian garden, so a lot of that stuff is trial and error, because the Western Australian stuff over here on the East Coast doesn't like the humidity. And there's been, with the notes, what we do in the notes now is there's Western Australian plants over in Western Australia flower in September and October. Over here, they're flowering in May. So it's really good to put that sort of stuff in the notes, along with when we're propagating, just say a grevillea, we don't get a good strike rate in 1 month, but you try it again a month later and we're getting 100%. So getting all that information into the Hortus program, which we didn't have a facility like this to document all that stuff before. And now we've got it all in one place, and I don't see how we could do it any other way now. So it's been brilliant for our botanic garden, especially with the conservation we do with our threatened species. We're actually propagating off a lot of them now. So we put that information in there as well. How many we've got struck, how many we can supply to another botanic garden.
It's a great story, at least to hear the transition from paper and spreadsheets to now being able to track that kind of knowledge. And like you mentioned about not deleting a record, but actually just deaccession it, or just set the plant as absent. But now you're building up the knowledge base about certain species, how they fared in your garden, which will now be available for prosperity to learn more about what plants that works and what doesn't. So that's very good.
Yeah, and we get a lot of visitors here, and if they see a plant thriving, like a Western Australian plant thriving, they know if it's thriving in our garden, they can go and get one for themselves, or we propagate them in the nursery anyway. So
yeah.
We'll be selling plants in a couple of weeks. We've got the Botanic Gardens Day with Begants on the 25th of May. So we hold a Botanic Gardens Day then. So.
Yeah. And then you put threatened and endangered species on the plant sale as well, I guess, if that's
sometimes.
Yeah.
I don't like letting them go.
No, I don't blame you. No. I was just thinking about, like the Wilhelmina pine, now you can buy it in the supermarket because they propagated it in such an extent that it's I suppose it's still genetically threatened, but at least the clones makes it less threatened in a way, I guess.
Yeah, I've got some other ones there that are really important to this area. We've got a Banksia vincentia, Vincentia is just down the road pretty much. There's only 4 left in the wild. Oh, so we're actually got about a dozen in the garden now, and we're propagating off them, but not by seed, by cuttings.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And there is another one. There's a little island south of Norfolk Island called Phillip Island, where it's only a small island, Norfolk Island. They used to keep their cattle and sheep on there. And there was a hibiscus insularis growing there that nearly got wiped out from the cattle and stock on the island. So we were lucky enough to get a couple of them, and I've propagated off them now as well. So
yeah, fantastic.
So Rob, have you got some plants that have actually come from the wild? Are you keeping that provenance data?
Geez, I'd have to go through the Hortus program and have a look.
Exactly. Isn't it great, hasn't it?
Yeah. We actually had, I got a Senna reclinus from the wild, which is endangered. My memory's fading at the moment. So,
well, that's why you have Hortus. That's
yeah. One of the things that we really wanted to get this in place was for the future of the Botanic Gardens, because we're all volunteers. So down the track, if something happens to me or someone else, this is set in concrete that anyone can come in there that can log on and use that program and know where every plant is, what species it is. All our signage has got on it if it's endangered, but it's also on the Hortus program.
So thank you so much, Rob, for sharing this wonderful story from Shoalhaven Heads Native Botanic Garden. And thank you all for watching as well. Watch out for new recordings of our conservation stories and other stories we have to share. So thank you again.